Let's get you hooked again. Welcome inside another edition of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns alongside Vince Young and Mack Brown. I'm Bob Ballou. We always appreciate you joining us. You can always rate and review us anywhere on social media at the Stampede UT. We also love that you listen to this podcast. You can get it anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere else. We've got a great show today. Texas head women's basketball coach Vic Schaefer will join us. The Longhorns are 21-2, ranked number 4 in the country. Look forward to hearing some of the stories of him and in his days at Texas A&M was he was watching you guys and his admiration for what you guys were able to do and what he's doing now. And I know a lot of people have admiration for what he's doing. We'll dive into some of the guys coming into Texas. Hollywood Smothers, the running back from NC State that's coming in. He's had a big year last couple of years and a nice addition for Texas. We'll talk a little bit about him. It's Super Bowl week. We'll talk about the Longhorns in the game, some of the big offseason storylines and kind of what's going on with the Longhorns heading into the NFL draft. But let's start with this current group. Hollywood Smothers coming in from NC State, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns over the last 2 years. Very dynamic player that Texas is getting on offense. Talked to Pete Nakos on 3 and had some interesting quotes because as we know, he was going to Alabama, then he's going to Texas. And one of the things he said was NIL didn't play a big factor for me, no matter how much the internet factors it. And I always social media. I honestly just want to win. And I feel like we're in the best position to win, go win it all with the talent and depth at Texas. What separated things for me with the Texas emphasis on going to win it all, feeling like they shouldn't have been counted out last year in the playoffs. So I think he likes the trajectory of where this particular team is with Steve Sarkisian. I know you know Hollywood Smothers, but what do you guys think about kind of his move? And again, it's another player that was out of school and then decided to go to a different school. And with everything going on in the transfer portal and NIL right now, it's all kind of crazy. He says it wasn't the NIL, it was Texas, which I think is a good thing to hear.
Yes, whether it's true or not. I mean, I think everybody is getting some money.
Sure.
So
Sure,
there's money involved. Hollywood's a great young man. I recruited him out of Charlotte. He went to Oklahoma, and he stayed there, and then he transferred to NC State, and now he's transferring to Alabama and then to Texas. So I think that's the system has put young guys in a tough spot. Vince has talked about it a lot, but we aren't encouraging people to stay anymore. We're encouraging them to either run to get something else. I saw where Mensa from Duke said, I want to be a number 1 draft choice, and I thought it'd be better for me to be at Miami. Well, there's been talk about $10 million also. I'm sure that was the reason he went. It wasn't the money. But right now, the money is out there, and the great players are going to make money. That's just there's a certain amount of money that's given to each position in those, and all those guys know it. All their agents know it. They all talk. They know exactly what a running back on the market's going to get.
Right.
And that's just what's happening across the country. And with all the talk about tampering from Dabo last week, and I saw Will Stein this morning came out and said, why don't we just try to do things right? We know what's right.
Right.
Why don't we just try to do things right instead of calling and texting kids? And Will's right. I mean, he is right. The problem is that some are going to and some are not. And the ones that are not, unless they get punished, they get an advantage. And it makes other young ones want to do it that way because they want to keep their jobs. And the better players you have, the more games you're going to win. That's just, you still got to do a great job coaching. You've still got to have a good culture, good environment in the locker room. But you can have a good environment with bad players and lose all the games. And everybody happy and singing after it's over, but you still got your butt beat. You got to have good players to win at the highest level. And what we've done now, we've raised the level of those that want to pay all the money. And there's parity with that group, but now everybody else is dying. And that's what we're missing with where we're going in college football. And you look at the top teams in the portal are the ones that are in the playoffs right now, except for Georgia. And Georgia's got a lot of high school players around them. Georgia's kind of built it on high school players. Kirby doesn't want to bring in a lot of the portal guys. But I think that's what's happening now is people are looking at the best players. And somebody said the other day that it looks like that Sark's got a I'm all in to win it all this year. Well, at Texas, you are every year.
I was just going to say.
That's when did that become new?
Even in the offseason.
Yeah, year round, you're all in to win it all. But I think that's just what's happened now. We've lost the have a good year. We've lost the thought of winning the conference championship being enough. Unless you're in the playoff, unless you have a great run, unless you win the national championship, you haven't had a successful year. There's 135 disappointed teams out of 136. And one's going to win it. Like I said, it always hits me as a number that Vince his team won the only national championship at Texas in the last 55 years. There have been a lot of good teams here. Mm-hmm. It is hard to win it all. And one fan asked me yesterday, what would you tell Texas fans? I'd say enjoy the moment. Don't say we're number one again. Don't say we're going to win it all. We got to win it all. We really don't. You got to be the best you can be.
Or just listen to the Stampede. We got you.
Or listen to the Stampede, and Vince will tell you that you're going to win it all anyway. But be the best you can be, the best team you can be. And if you're good enough, good for you. You win it all. But let's don't talk about it. Let's do it.
I don't know that anyone going into this year would have said Indiana's the most talented team. I mean, by the time it's all said and done, you still got to be able to play football really well, and you've got to coach football really well. And what Curt Cignetti did with everything going on in NIL, he put together a team of no 4 or 5 stars, and they just grinded away and won the national championship. And I think that's maybe you see everybody else, all the blue bloods that are trying to get back there, and then here comes Indiana. We're just going to go play good football and coach well. And win a bunch of games.
But also, these guys are giving these guys stars when they're 16 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 17 against 17-year-olds. It's a whole lot easier to rate people when they're juniors in college and you've seen them play college football for 2 years.
Right.
Right.
I can say people that said Vince couldn't play quarterback in that junior year, you couldn't find them. They disappeared. I said, excuse me, you were the one that said Vince couldn't throw? You were the one that said he couldn't play? And I said, well, that's not what I meant.
Crickets.
Yeah, yes, it was. It's exactly what you meant. So
take my words out of context.
So when I hear they don't have any 4 stars, 5 stars, who are rating those guys? And you're rating them as puppies. They're really young. They change so much. So just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean you're guaranteed to be a great player.
Of course.
There are a lot of smart people that are in med school that don't become doctors. There are a lot of really good players that are great athletes that don't become NFL players. Something got off. Vince can tell you, man, there's a whole lot more goes into making it to a national championship and being a pro player than just being good. Not every good player makes it. There's stuff. There's family, there's money, there's distractions, there's so many things out there that are thrown at you that you got to handle at a very young age. And you got to be lucky to have some people in your family, in your background, in your pocket that are going to say, no, come here. Stay away from that. Don't trust him. This is bad. And you get tired of hearing no, but it's what's really important.
And I think that's a great way to bring it back, Vince, to where Texas is right now. You know, Arch Manning went through that early on, and then he developed, and we saw who we thought he would be, and he was really good at the end of the year. What do you make of some of the moves that Sark made this offseason, getting Hollywood Smothers, getting Cam Coleman, getting some better players around? Obviously, the running game struggled. There was a lot of injury that went into that. There were offensive line issues early, but you know, what do you make of what some of these moves like Hollywood Smothers and Cam Coleman that Sark and his staff made this offseason?
Well, one thing is that I can tell Hollywood right now, stay away from the media. Don't be doing no interviews right now because of the fact you just you don't want to be open to something that you got to actually got to start working and earning for a moment. Let's stay away from the media right now because of the fact you don't want to go in the back and forth and start coming in with your name already buzzing in the media, and you already, people already feel a certain type of way about you for what you did. Started with Alabama, transferred to here, blah, blah, blah. So stay away from that. Let Coach and them deal with that in the offseason and kind of keep it quiet. I know Coach Brown can vouch for this. One thing he always tell us, keep your butt out of trouble in the summertime.
No,
don't talk to the media.
The less you say, the less you got to take back.
Exactly. So
so that means, Vince, if Bob tries to get Hollywood to interview, Hollywood should say, absolutely not. Vince
Yeah.
Young told me to stay away from
There you
you and
go.
your type.
I was
There
just
you
going to
go.
try to get him on the podcast. I wasn't going to try to get him for us.
Well, we can do that.
Come on.
Yeah.
We can do that.
But overall, I think coaches, I know coach, one of the things that I want to commend, and I mean not commend, but I really feel like Texas needed that break, even though they didn't go to the playoffs. I mean, it happened to Alabama last year. I really feel like they needed to take a break. I know Coach Stark is probably tired. I know Arch was probably tired. I think that was kind of best for them. First of all, to go play in the bowl game to get chemistry, for coaches to know who my players is, who gonna come in here and work, even though we didn't make it to the playoffs. I know that answered a lot of questions, but overall, I thought they needed that. Not just not just the team and the players and the coaches, but the fans too. Everybody needed that break for a second. So now it's time to, sit back, and now let's sit back and see what we have. We brought in some players that I feel that can contribute to the team, but now let's figure out how we can make these guys fit in. Do they understand Texas football? First of all, they got to understand that. And one of the things that we always do is like go hang out together. We used to go to Red McCone's home, hang out with Mr. Red McCone's. We used to do things that, guys that's newcomers feel like this is Texas football. Okay, you got to get that first because you can't just come here because your name is Coleman or Hollywood. No, that's not how we do it over here in Texas. It's all about Texas, not the back of your jersey, the front of your jersey. So you got to understand the tradition and history of Texas, first of all. So what do you do now in the off season? How about you go hang out with Arch? Okay, Arch is, I think, what's this, his fourth year, right?
Fourth year on campus.
Fourth year on campus. So now you're getting around a guy that's starting to pick up his matureness. He's feeling more comfortable. He's been through it. He has seen what Quinn went through. Now I went through the same thing with Chris Sims, Chance Mock. I started feeling more comfortable about myself as the years went on. So as these new guys, you got to get around the guys that's been there. Hey man, we don't do this. We don't do that. This is not Auburn. This is not Alabama. This is Texas. We walk around with pride that on our chest for real. So for coach from going in and getting these players, I just really feel like that is the main point right now in the offseason. I do commend him going against some veteran O linemen, D linemen, and things like that. Because again, man, like I told you earlier, and like I told Coach, like one of the things that we did, we started about in the trenches. That's who made our team was our O line and D line. Yes, I got a lot of accolades and Vince Young this, Vince Young that, Selvin Young, or Jamal Charles. Yes, we got all that, but we gave a lot of respect to our O line and D line because without them, we are nothing. We can't pass the ball. We can't. The quarterbacks can't. I mean, you can't get any sacks. DBs can't get any interceptions without the O line, D line. So I just feel like Coach did a good job bringing in these guys, but now I just feel put more pressure on the team to go figure out who we are and find out who our chemistry is and identity is in the off season. So when the season come around or the spring come around, like guys are and talking about, man, such and such in the locker room. He's a great guy. Coleman is a good guy. Hollywood, he's a nice guy. He's a leader. He's on time. Now you got to start proving to me who you are. I don't give a care what you did last year.
Or how
That
many
is
stars you got. If you're an
exactly.
incoming
I don't care
five-star,
about you making 12 touchdowns last year.
we'd burn all Vince's stars in the first meeting when we got
Yeah,
there.
so that's my main thing about you got to back up Coach Starks, what he did. He went and got you some new players, got you some guys. Now, as a team, as some of the leaders, now you got to start challenging yourselves. Like, who are you guys? Or you come in here because you a top receiver in the country right now, or you coming in because you trying to be a Texas Longhorn? And that's the main point that I want to see out of those guys after your head coach then brought you in some talent.
And
Because we
Bob,
can't have the same year. You can't have the same year of some of the things that kinda hurt you from, from not being in the playoffs because you definitely was a playoff caliber team.
find out what your mistakes are and fix them.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
you do. But Vince was so good at team building. He said he took Jamal Charles in, he took him out bowling, he took him here and took him there. There's a lot of new faces in that locker room.
Yeah.
A lot of great leaders are gone. So you're building leaders. When Vince was talking about Red McCone's going to his house, We took our whole team out there every year and had a big picnic party.
Great time. Had a great
time fishing, and he had some golf you could hit, and all the stuff. And Red would talk to him,
Of course.
and so it was just a wonderful time for us to spend a day, get on the bus going down there, spend the day together, and have memories.
Yeah.
And you get to meet one of the richest, strongest boosters in the country that owned a pro team. So that's team building.
Yeah.
That's what you do. What Vince is talking about, I see Cam Coleman's coming in, and you got Ryan Wingo. They got to be best buddies.
Yep.
They can't be worried about who's going to get the most balls. They can't worry about who's got the most money. And some people said Cam dropped some balls last year. Well, Ryan dropped some. So Vince would take those receivers and he'd throw hours and hours and hours because you got to get timing with that receiver. You got to know, you got to throw the ball before he breaks. And you got to do that so many times in practice that it's routine in a game.
Yes.
You can't just go out there and think Arch is great, Cam's great, this is going to work.
No, they don't work like that.
No. And Vince also made a great point that Texas is Texas. You got to be able to handle this. You got to handle the wonderful place it is with the tremendous amount of pride, therefore pressure that creates, in some cases, the monster that it is.
Yeah.
You got to handle it, and you got to embrace it. And if you don't, it'll eat you up. And you never know when a young guy's transferred 2 or 3 times if he's going to handle that or not.
Right.
Got to handle it, man. This place isn't easy.
And that was maybe the best thing about Ryan Wingo being one of the lead guys trying to get Cam Coleman here. Ryan's a great kid. And I think that feeds into where Arch is trying to take this thing with this offense. You bring in a guy like Cam Coleman, does he fit in immediately? And is that the guy that you need in your program? So and you mentioned, we talked about like what this roster looks like. Obviously, so many changes, a recruiting class coming in, all these transfers coming in. You've got 8 months to figure it out. I mean, you got to start it right now. Steve Sarkisian's taken an interesting route with what the scholarship limit now is 105 in the SEC. Sark's at 88. So he's not capping that thing out. He's not going to get 17 more scholarships yet. Obviously, there's still time, and we'll see some great videos, I'm sure, of guys getting scholarships that didn't expect to be on. And we always love those. Yeah. What do you think of that decision? What kind of what do you like, Vince?
I really don't know, actually, but I hope that he's doing it because of what Coach Brown and all these guys started, giving scholarship to these walk-on kids. And to me, it's like, actually, some of these walk-on kids are pretty damn good too. And their dream is to play on Texas. So they're gonna work hard and fight hard even more to make the team for their family, for their community, for their high school, all of the above. So I don't know exactly the main, facts about, why he's doing that, but I hope because of the tradition and history of Coach Brown and a lot of guys that we give up more scholarship to these walk-on kids that deserve it. And I hope that's it, but I really don't know what he's thinking behind it. So
it's okay to earn it, right? It's okay for guys to develop and earn it.
It used to be. We talked a lot about this at North Carolina, and when we heard it was going to 105 from 120, because it was 85 scholarships and 120 was the cap because of Title IX for most college football teams. So we always had 120. You could only bring 105 in to start preseason practice, which I thought was stupid. You got guys that work year round. You say, no, you can't come till school starts. Well, man, let them come. What, is it going to cost you a few meals? Come on. Right. Come on, man. So, but here's what the dilemma is for college coaches right now. NFL, you got what, Vince, 50-something on a roster?
It used to be 55, probably went up to 60,
right,
but
so
it used to be
let's say 55.
Yeah.
So how much do you pay each one of them? Well, you're going to play 44 guys in college. You're going to have 2 deep, and most of those 2 deep guys will be your special teams players as well. Then you got a few kickers and punters and holders and specialists, but most of it's going to be in at 44. And then you're going to have some young ones, and you're going to have them grow. And the thought was, if you take from 85 to 105 and all of them were on scholarship, all of them are pretty good, and all of them want to play, and they're not going to get to them with the transfer portal, they're leaving anyway. So don't put somebody on the back end that's a good enough player to play, but you really don't need him right now. You need him 2 years from now. That horse has left the stable. It is no longer patience. There is not such a thing. And then the other thing is, if I've got 44, I can pay them out of my lump sum money a lot higher than if I'm paying 105.
Right.
So why am I going to waste money on a guy that's not going to play for 2 years? It'll probably transfer when I need that money for Cam Coleman. So with Sark, and I haven't asked him about this, but my thought would be, looking from afar, he coached with the Falcons. He's been an NFL coach. He understands the deal. So let's get the core of our team that we need to stay here paid at the highest level, and then we can put walk-ons at the end. We can add a few people if we need to. We can get some people for scout team. We can get some depth, but they're not going to ask for money. They're not going to be transferring, and they're not going to be putting you in a position where they're griping about not playing all the time. They're the Michael Tafts that were a walk-on that loves Texas and wants to come, ended up being a great player. And that may happen with those guys too. And if they're not great players, some of the guys that I'm closest with now were walk-ons that ended up making a whole lot of money, and they get back to the university.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, very successful. So, but that's what I see in those numbers. I also saw something that I'm not exactly sure what, but Derek Johnson's the best linebacker I've ever seen. I didn't see Tommy Nobis play, and he was obviously one of the best ever. Derek Johnson was an absolute freak. I mean, he ran 4.5 or better. He's 235 pounds. He could outrun running backs, quarterbacks, everybody, and then knock a ball out of Oklahoma's hands, quarterback's hands, while he's running behind him. He was a freak. I saw him make 30 tackles in a high school game in Waco. I could have left after the first 4. I said, do we have to stay? We're staying to be nice and recruit him, because we darn sure made a decision. He was a no-brainer.
Yes.
He was a 5-play guy. If you had to watch more than 5 plays, I thought they weren't very good. And if I could see in 5 plays, he was a great one. Derek Johnson, Vince Young were 5-play guys. I said, I want a 3 to 5 play guy. After that, I get bored.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised you needed 5.
No, well, with him, he and Vince, it was about 2. You just had to see the right play as they were doing it. But I saw that he was, some of those younger Tyler Atkinsons and those guys coming in were working out with him. How smart is that?
Yeah.
How cool is that? It ties you to the Vince Young era. It ties you to Texas football history. But all these young guys want to be Derek Johnson. He's smart. He's nice. He's a graduate. He's the leading tackler in Kansas City Chiefs history. He's an All-American. He's a Butkus Award winner. He is everything these guys want to be. So get them around somebody that you can say, wow, that's what I want to be like. And that's it. And they're all, there's a Colin Simmons in this group, maybe 2, maybe 3. It was Samari Smoke Matthews' birthday this week. I text back and forth with him. He can be a great corner. Get him around some of those ex-guys that are NFL guys that'll just hug his neck and say, no, going to do this. Because we do know that if your habits don't align with your dreams, change your habits.
Oh, my God.
Change
Preach,
your habits.
Coach. Preach.
That's it. Change your habits. Young guys, they're not sure what they're into yet.
Yeah.
The transfers are trying to figure it out. Those young ones now, first time out of the house, I'm in Austin, Texas. As Vince said, I went from a classroom of 12 to 15 to 200 or 500. I've got coaches yelling at me. I'm seeing another guy over there just as good as I am for the first time in my life. And I'm seeing 6 of them in my position. And I was told I could start. So that's what's happening right now with all this stuff. And that's, I do think, though, when I saw the 88, we had discussed it at North Carolina. Would we rather have 44 that we can pay, especially in programs that don't have a lot of money?
I was just going to say, without the budget of some of the bigger
Yeah.
programs.
So then just let the others go. That's the only way you can compete if you're at a program without money. Cut your roster down and pay more per player and not pay as many.
Yeah.
And
that's
they're
the
not.
answer. Because there's a lot of kids out there that's getting overlooked.
A lot.
And me, that's the kids. If I was a coach, that's the kids I want. Because I don't have to worry about that kid going to class, getting good grades, and then coming to give me extra energy on my practice field and to my game. So he's gonna play.
What a great point.
I'm gonna
I
get him
mean,
to play. And
yeah,
like Coach
there's
just said, I got guys like DJ Johnson around my campus. Hey, hey DJ, you don't mind if I get what's the name out there to work out with you? You know, these type of things is like Coach is saying, your habits. Like these kids are so stuck into this social media, TikTok, and all that type of stuff. I'm telling my son right now today, like, what are you doing? Like, while you at home right now, that's a kid right now, grinding right now. And you think because your name, you got Vince Young, your dad is this, that's gonna make that kid work more harder than you anyway. I'm telling my nephew the same thing. Like, you want to go to the NBA? Half of the NBA is from overseas. So now you're not even playing against USC, I mean, USA kids anymore. You playing across kids across the country now to try to make it to the NBA. So it's getting harder for you guys because y'all work ethic right now is not there. Y'all got everything else. Y'all smart, intelligent, everything, but y'all work ethic. Y'all don't know how to work for it. So, okay, let me teach you, son. This is what you need to do. This is what your schedule need to look like. You know, these are things I'm telling my daughter. And so the same way, like Coach just said, what DJ is doing with those linebackers and other guys, Michael Huff and guys coming in, which I love that our university and Coach Starks let us come around the players, is that we're showing them something that they never seen before. And this what we saying that worked for us. That's what got us to DJ being a Hall of Fame guy, me being a number 3 draft pick in the NFL. These are things that's what you've been working your butt off for when you first put that helmet on is that you try to make it to the pros. What are you doing behind the scenes to get there though? And this is the time to do it in the off season.
do your habits meet your dreams, match your dreams? Are you getting sleep? Are
Yeah.
you eating properly? Are you hydrating? How much time are you wasting on the internet? How much time you wasting with that screen that you could be stretching?
Screen.
You could be running.
It's the screen.
You could be the screen because it's a bunch of things.
Whichever screen it is. There are a
Yeah.
bunch of different ones.
No,
but
John-
whichever one it is.
John Bianco, the sports information director at Texas, told me 10 years ago, I'm really worried about young people getting addicted to the screen.
Mhm.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. I mean, Mike D'Antoni's been out of coaching 4 years. He said, you still look at your phone every 2 minutes? And I said, yeah.
Mhm.
It's right here, and I think I'm gonna get a text from a player now because I have for 50 years. And Mike says it'll take you about 4 years, and now I can leave mine over there. I can still see it, but I can get away from it because we all have an addiction to our phone. But do your habits match your dreams? If not, change them, and that's it. But Vince made another great point there. He's got Jordan. Jordan's a young recruit. Vince is going through this as a parent now. So he's right in the middle of this stuff. 10,000 guys in the portal. That means all of these schools that would be recruiting Jordan are looking in the portal. All of them.
Yep.
10,000 kids are out there that are taking high school players' spots that they would have had those spots 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And now a lot of those guys, do you go then to group of 5? Well, some of those 10,000 going to have to drop down to group of 5. So then, and they're firing coaches after 2 years. So I can't wait on a high school guy. I got to get me somebody that's older, man. Right now, I got to get me a proven guy.
Yep.
I can't get a chance guy. And then, so do I go to FCS? Then you've got to get your second contract. So you do well in FCS, then you go to group of 5. Then you go on up to the other. And that's why there may be some real gems and walk-ons now that didn't have opportunities that you can get to come, or you could still give them a scholarship and not give them NIL money because you've got 105 scholarships. So there's going to be some creativity there with the guys that are doing it the best to figure out how to work this stuff out.
And I think Vince probably made a really important point for parents. I think the moms and dads that force that work ethic on their kids and teach them that will just have an extra step ahead of other kids. I think that's Vince, you're doing that with Jordan. That's the best point you can make is these moms and dads need to have that influence on their kids so they're not in front of that screen. Yeah. But instead they're doing that with the work ethic.
Do you want to play?
Do you want to play?
And if you want to play, does that help you play?
Yeah.
Does playing that video game help you be a better receiver? Does playing that video game help you get a scholarship? If that's what you want, I don't care.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, I've got 3 grandsons right now, and all of them are competing in sports. And it's funny to watch them. And I simply say, does that help? I don't care.
Right.
If you don't want to play, that's okay. But if you want to play, that's not helping you get where you want to go.
Right.
How can you be the best you can be? And are you doing that?
And we talk so much about developing and how coaches in college are able to develop now. And I know Vic Schaefer has always been, I want to bring them in as freshmen and grow them. That's one of his favorite things. So I'll be interested to see kind of what he says as we're getting ready to talk to Vic Schaefer, the head women's basketball coach at Texas, what his plan is now. Because a few years ago, he didn't want any part of this. I know for a fact he wanted to just grow and develop his people. But now he's taking in transfers. So it'll be a lot of fun because he's coming up next. The head women's basketball coach at the University of Texas, Vic Schaefer, joins us right here on the Stampede. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Back after this. Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the country. And if you're a property owner like we are, you know it hits harder than a blindside sack. That's why every winning season starts with the right playbook. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Pro Tax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. They're the number one defense against soaring tax bills, the kind of defense that stuffs rising values at the line and sends them back to the locker room.
Do your homework before you just let any firm suit up for you. I've looked at the stats, and Texas Protect doesn't just win, they dominate.
We're talking big gains, deep passes, and the kind of tax-saving drives that make your wallet do a victory dance. While the other firms are warming the bench, Texas Pro Tax is driving the field, breaking tackles, and putting up game-changing Texas-sized tax savings.
Stampede listeners, your minimum fee is waived. No flags, no fumbles.
Visit TexasProTax.com, sign up and enter code STAMPEDE to join the winning team, and finally put your property taxes on the bench. Welcome back to the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We always appreciate you joining Mack and Vince and I, but today we've got a very special guest, one of the most elite head coaches in NCAA women's basketball, 113-17 in his last 30 games at Texas. He is on a roll with the Longhorns. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Vic Schaefer. Vic, thank you for taking the time. I want to go backwards for a minute. I know you're a huge college football fan. You've had the chance to travel with Texas, with Sark, to Michigan, to Ohio State. I've seen you on the sideline at both of those games. Did you happen to be on the sideline when Vince and Mack made their way to College Station while you were at A&M, winning a lot of games with Gary Blair? What do you remember about how dominant Mack and Vince and those Texas teams were?
Well, what I remember, and Coach Brown will know this, there was a stretch in the 80s and early 90s where I think A&M won 10 straight, and Mack came in and fixed that. And it's just like anything, y'all. Once you get something turned, once you get your foot on their throat, you don't let them up. And I think that's, that's what I remember about that. And then the other thing that I remember about Coach Brown that has always made it's just something I'll never forget. It's a great indicator of him and who he is as a man, is how he handled the bonfire crash and his genuineness and in talking about that and in talking about the game itself and how difficult that was on that day to be a part of that game, knowing what had just happened. And so that's all I will always remember that about Coach. And so, obviously growing up on that side, I've sat in that stadium over here back in the 60s and 70s with my father during, a pretty good heyday here at Texas. And Thanksgiving night, I had icicles hanging off my baseball cap, sitting on the 48th row in DKR. And back then there was only 50 in the upper deck. I was on the 48th row that night, watching them get beat 38-3, watching A&M get beat 38-3. And so, but again, just knowing we all as coaches, when we come into jobs, like we inherit things, good, bad, and indifferent. And what Coach Brown inherited in that rivalry and how he changed it, man, that's not easy to do. And, that's something that, in my mind, will always be associated with him and his legacy here at Texas. And, and then watching, obviously, Vince, Vince and I, we have a little bit of history in HISD.
Yeah.
And his football coach and I worked together at Milby before he went to Madison. And of course, Madison and Milby were in the same district, off and on. And so, Anthony Fields, who's on that staff, is still a good friend of mine, who was an assistant on that staff with Coach Seals. And so we have, we have a little bit of that we can always talk about too. So it's, it's when you've been around as long as we all have, it seems like y'all have stories and areas where you've crossed paths. And, that's the cool thing about getting older. There's some things that aren't real cool about it. That's the really cool thing about it. And again, I am a history buff. I do know college football and obviously, am very familiar with Coach Brown as well as VY.
And we hung out at Huts one day. You and I and Coach Blair had a burger together. So
Yeah, we probably better not talk about that.
no, we wouldn't do that. So we had to do it behind the scenes.
No, it just sounds.
No, well, Coach, you've come in and done an unbelievable job. You can get seats anywhere you want now. You don't have to sit on that 48th row with the 50th, I think, with it. But things have changed so much in your life, my life, and now Vince's life, as he's got a son that's being recruited. How have you handled the changes in the last 4 or 5 years? You're a high school guy. You wanted to bring in high school ladies and develop them.
Yeah.
How much has NIL changed you and what you're having to do and your team chemistry? Talk to us a little bit so fans will understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, Coach, it's, I still believe in recruiting high school kids. We just signed the #1 class in the country. And we're continuing to add to that class. And so, I'm, when I went to Mississippi State, it was the worst program in the SEC by far, and maybe the worst Power 5 program in the country. My friends all thought I'd committed, career suicide. I left A&M where we had just won the national championship in 10. We were back in the Sweet 16 we won it in 11. We were back in the Sweet 16 in 12. Obviously, I had ties there, had gone to school there. My dad went to school there. Why would I leave to go to a state that I had never been to except for one recruiting visit to recruit the #1 kid in the country one day? That's the only time I'd ever been in the state of Mississippi. I had no contacts there. I didn't know anything about the place. And obviously the team was they were 14 and 16, graduating 6 seniors on their way out the door. And that's what I inherited.
That might have been a positive.
Well, it was
that they were leaving
because they didn't leave me with anything either. I had no recruiting class coming in and we didn't sign anybody. I just didn't want to go waste a scholarship just to take somebody that I didn't feel I could change anything we were doing that first year. So, so back to the original question. So the answer is when I'd go speak after what we had built at Mississippi State was, Vic, how in the world did you do it? And it was really simple. We recruited to a fit, we retained our student athletes, and we developed them. And I still believe in that. I still believe in recruiting to a fit, retaining them, and developing them. Now, the second and the third part's getting more difficult. There'll be a time when the season's over and there'll be a 2-week portal window, and I'll probably have to spend time re-recruiting some of my own kids before I can move on and get ready for the summer, knowing I've got the #1 class in the country coming in. But that's the thing, Coach. We just had a staff meeting. You're crazy to think that your kids aren't even being tampered with right now. You're just That's just not smart. You're just not, you're naive. I would hope it's not. I would hope their parents wouldn't allow that. And I have some unbelievable parents. And that's why my kids are great kids. They've all been raised right. But it's just different. And coach, I say this, you look around, go back to football season and look at those coaches that have been unbelievable. Franklin's the first one that comes to mind. He did not just wake up one Saturday morning and become a bad football coach. You got to be kidding me. But he loses 3 games, and all of a sudden he ain't no good anymore, and they get rid of him. And in my mind, here's what I think happens. Because of this thing that we have in the portal, to me, that's a coach, and a lot of coaches, especially in football, were like the day of the 5th-year lineman finally starting his 5th year after 4 years of development's over. And I've never coached football a day in my life, but that's what I see. Those days are over.
It's true.
You're not going to get those kids to stick around, pay the price, and by the time they're a 5th-year senior, man, they're a starter, and then they got a chance to go do something after that. Those days are over. And I wouldn't know Coach Franklin if he walked in the door, but there were 4 or 5 other coaches, the same thing happened to them. And they're all about development and having kids in a system, understanding the system, understanding how you do things, schemes, things like that. And now all of a sudden you're taking a kid in April out of the portal, you get him in June, you don't get to work with him except for 45 minutes a day in the summer. Then all of a sudden 2-a-days happens, and you get into the middle of September and you look around and go, well, we took him and him and him, and boy, their numbers looked really good in the portal and their body looked great. But you know what? That guy can't pull block for me one time if I want to run sweep left or sweep right. And that guy can't pass block over there if I want to be a drop back passing team. And so now you're stuck with that, yet you're still coaching and got the same thing you want to do, but you ain't got the guys that have been in your program 3, 4, and 5 years that have been working on it every day, day in, day out, repetition over and over and over. And now you're stuck. Now that's just my perception of where we are today, because I've got some kids out of the portal and they were, they're seniors. Some of them, two of them were seniors, coming out, and then they have an injury. And so they were sidelined a while, which puts them even further behind. Now they're back, but they're playing catch up. And so it just gets really, really difficult to navigate in today's world, because I've been that guy, that development guy. Have kids that, 2, 3, 4 years, and then, they help. Blair's a great example. She played in 29 of 34 games her freshman year, 6 minutes a game. Sophomore year, played in 10 minutes a game, every game. Junior year, ends up being 6th player of the year and MVP of the NCAA regional by the time she's done being a junior. Her senior year, she's plays more minutes than of just about anybody in the country, and she's on the all defensive team at 5'6" and got the athleticism of her daddy, which is to say she's been limited. Let's just put it that way. But she's on the all defensive team. They only take 5, but she took 90 charges in her career. She's tougher than hell, and she understands what we're doing.
Like her
She's
daddy.
the best. She's the best help side defender I got. So again, those
And
are
if she
just things
if she had gone Mississippi State to Virginia to Cal, that probably doesn't happen.
no. And again, she's what's right with college athletics, because a lot of people don't know this. End of her sophomore year, I get a phone call. I'm in town running errands in Starkville, Mississippi. We just got beat in the Sweet 16. It was not a good game. We got our butt handed to us up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, by Connecticut. But we had made the Sweet 16. We were back in the NCAA tournament. Everybody's happy. And I get a phone call from from my wife. She said, "Hey, you need to come to the house." I'm like, "Okay, I'm in town. What's going on?" She said, "You just need to come to the house." I walk in and Blair's sitting in the living room. I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" She looks at me. She said, "She wants to transfer." And so I looked at Blair and I said, "Have you talked to the coach yet?" And she looked at me kind of like what y'all's response was. I said, "Before you talk to me as your daddy, I suggest you talk to your coach. It's 11:22, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the office in the next 10 minutes."
And is that
So
tampering?
so I walked out of the house and Blair comes up to the office and I talked to her like I've talked to every other kid that's ever wanted to talk about that. And I told her, I said, "Hey, trust me, nobody wants to play you more than I do, but I cannot play you at the expense of my team. If you want to play," I said, "first of all, I can pick up this phone right here. I can call 150 mid-majors right now. You don't have to do anything different. You can transfer right now and be all conference. No problem. But if you want to play in the SEC, you got to do 3 things. 1, you got to stop turning it over. I can't play if you're going to throw the ball to the other team. 2, you got to guard somebody. I can't play you if you're a problem defensively. And 3, you got to make a shot. When people aren't guarding you, you got to make a shot." And I said, "But it's up to you." She said, "Well, how do I do those 3?" I said, "It's April 3rd. Well, actually, it was in March at that time because we got beat in the Sweet 16. I said, "It's March 26th. We've got 4 weeks of spring practice, spring workouts. You get you a men's practice player. You play one-on-one every day now through the summer." I said, "The first month, you're going to get your butt handed to you. You're not going to like it. It's going to be a butt whipping every day. But at some point, you're smart enough, you're going to figure it out." I said, "But 2, it's going to be hard to get your shot off too. You're going to have to figure that piece out too." But I said, "If you want to get better at those 3 things, you get in here with a men's practice player, play one-on-one every day and figure it out. Or I'll pick up the phone right now and we can call 150 places and you don't have to do anything." I said, "But you tell me what you want to do." I said, "Nobody wants to play you more than I do. I'm your dad, even though I'm the coach, but I can't play you at the expense of my team." Well, she's what's right with college athletics.
Yeah.
Instead of flight,
Did mom get mad? Did
no,
her mom get mad
no,
at her dad or her
no,
coach?
no. And so she did what's right. She said, "Okay." And she got better. I mean, and ends up having a great senior year where she's an Iron Woman. She played more minutes than I think anybody in the country, if I'm not mistaken. It was top 5 for sure, but had a great career. She can go back to Starkville anytime, doesn't have to buy a meal. But most kids today, they're gonna run. They're not gonna want to do what it takes when they got 18 other people going, "Hey, you come here, I got more money." "Oh, you don't have to do all that. You don't got to guard like y'all guard at Texas. We just worry about scoring. We don't even work on defense at Arkansas or wherever. We work on offense today."
And
That's
coach,
that's
it's
reality.
yeah, coach,
Right.
it sounds like the thing I heard, parents, fit, character, toughness. I mean, you've got to evaluate a lot more than the athlete to be able to coach the way you're coaching and keep them here. We
Yeah.
even said at North Carolina, we got to get ones that want to be at Texas, and we've got to get ones that are going to stay even when they're offered more money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And who is that? So it's a different evaluation now than it was. Coach, what would you do to fix it? You've been doing this a long time. I love your spirit. I love your thoughts on the game. We've all seen it. It shifts some, but it's still a great game. I loved watching your ladies play Oklahoma Sunday. They fought. They competed. It was a great game. I watched you with North Carolina. The arena's full. So the game is really healthy when you're playing. What would you do to help it off the court?
I think whatever we do, everybody has to have the same. We have to have the same boundaries. And this thing about just letting kids leave every year has got to end. Like, I think if you want to give them one pass, okay, fine. But after that, if you can't figure it out after that one, then you need to sit if you're going to go after that one. But I think from an NIL perspective, we've made some changes. We're only going to have a 15-day window instead of a 30-day window. And it's not going to open until the Final Four is over. Last year, y'all, I'm in the Elite Eight. The portal opens. My coaches are going, "Hey, coach, this kid's a great player. She's out here, out in the West Coast. She's interested in Texas." I'm like, "Guys, we're in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm fixing to play in the Elite Eight. Like, my conscience won't let me spend a moment on that kid who I might get, who might be interested, versus the kids I got right now I'm in the foxhole with, and they deserve my undivided attention." And by the time we got done playing, we got a school in our league who's pretty good. Their whole team was recruited. They had already signed 4 new starters before I got done playing in April. So we did address that. It's now going to open after the last game of the Final Four. It'll be open 15 days. I mean, kids know where they're going to go before it ever opens. They know what they're going to do. So we don't need to have it open 30 days. And again, I think if we can all kind of be held to the same, whatever the number is, be held to that number. I just think those are, to me, those are easy fixes. The problem, Coach Brown, is this: there are administrators, ADs specifically, and it's specific in my conference. This conference has always been a monster women's basketball conference. Always. That doesn't happen because people don't care or aren't committed. But in today's world, especially regarding NIL, we have people in our league that are contributing to the demise of our conference because they're not supporting their women's basketball coaches and programs like they should, in my opinion.
Mm.
And we've got really good coaches in this league. But again, they have to make decisions on what programs they're going to support, and they're choosing not to support their women's basketball just because they think something else more important, I guess. And that's unfortunate because this league has always been really, really good. Really good. But in today's climate, coach, if you're not going to, at the end of the day, kids aren't coming for free. And I'm really fortunate here. I am supported. We do have, it is important. Winning basketball is really important at Texas. So I don't have that issue. But unfortunately in our league, I think we do. And it's disappointing.
Coach, it makes so much sense. And I'm worried about Olympic sports too. They're going to be club sports. We're putting so much money into football, men's basketball, that it is going to hurt some other sports. Coach, when I hear basketball coaches that are a friend of mine saying we got to pay 3 a lot of money, and then we got to pay 4 or 5 more so we can have some other players and backups. Are the ladies getting paid like the men? Are the ladies getting paid a lot of money for fans to know because they're asking all the time? Is it very similar?
I wouldn't say it's similar from a number perspective. Um, and again, at Texas, we're always going to have a good team. So here we try to take care of as many as we can. Um, but certainly, as I tell our kids all the time, this is real world. This is business. in a business, your top executives get paid the most money. The productive people in your business get paid the most money. That's real world. So understand that. Again, here at Texas, women's basketball is really important. We need to be really good. We need to win. And we're always going to have a good team. I'm always going to try to take care of our kids. But it's about production, coach, as you know. And
I
it's
always
really
laugh, Coach, when they say it wasn't pay for play. So why do the best players get the most money?
yeah,
I mean, help me with this.
yeah,
I'm a little confused.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Coach Guthridge and Coach Smith, I'd always ask them, why are you good at North Carolina in basketball? And you said something that just hit me. Coach Guthridge always told me it was about PT. And I said, what does that mean? He said, playing time. When you can get the one off the bench to come and rest the one that's more talented but tired, to play a certain number of minutes, and then they develop to where they can become the starter. And you just talked about, and I thought it was so impressive. She was playing 6 minutes, then she was playing 13 minutes, then she was. How do you do that? How do you figure out playing time?
Yeah, I think I don't know that there's an exact science, Coach. I give you an example. That 2000, so we get beat in the Sweet 16 to UConn. It was a butt whipping. Got beat 98-38. Now you eat a piece of that humble pie,
Not that you remember.
okay? But then the next year, we get an opportunity to play the same team, the same kids in the Final Four. They'd won 111 straight, and we beat them in the Final Four to stop the nation's longest winning streak in any sport in the history of sport at 111 games. And you get that opportunity only in college athletics, right? I mean, it took a ticket to get beat 60 to get a ticket to the Final Four to have a chance to do it there and win that game. The development piece is so critical. Those same 5, 8 kids that were shaking in their boots that I was telling stories about, David and Goliath and slingshots and pebbles and miracle on ice and anything else to give that team hope a year later, they were ready. They wanted the challenge. They seized the opportunity. And it's just a mindset. And so the development piece is there's just no substitute for the experience of being, as you know, there's a lesson in everything. It's always good to have your lessons in victory, but sometimes the best lessons are in defeat.
No
And
question.
No doubt.
you don't like that. You don't like that uncomfortability, but sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Vic,
And
you've got no, sorry. I was just gonna say you've got two elite players in Madison Booker and Rory Harmon on your team. Obviously, Vince was as elite a player that's ever come through Texas. Vince, I'm curious what you want to know from Coach because you kind of have that same mindset that a couple of his players have.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is, Coach, what I was listening to as well is the straightforward with the player and the parents. Me, I'm a parent right now. You met my daughter. I brought her to the game, and my son is playing football. One of the things that me as a parent, I want to make sure my baby is going somewhere that I can trust the coach, and he or she gonna have a good time. And I feel like it's very important. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What you were saying to Blair, just being straightforward to her. How is it that that's important to obviously you, but parents would like to hear that. So I like to hear
sure.
more about being straightforward.
Well, and again, when she was coming out of high school, I mean, she could have gone a lot of places, won a lot of games. As a parent, I didn't care about that. My concern was who was going to be her mentors, who was going to be her role models day in and day out. The winning would take care of itself. Um, and so, um, you know, going back to where I was headed with that other story, That next year going in the NCAA tournament, I put 3 starters on the bench going into the NCAA tournament, including my best player, my All-American. Now, Coach, you and I both know there ain't no book at the library that says, hey, when you're going into the NCAA tournament or when you're going to now what's called the college football playoff, I recommend you put your 3 best players on the bench and bench them because they did this, this, and this. There's no book about that.
No,
But
probably a few question marks there.
yeah, but again, it got the attention. First of all, they warranted it. I was not going to compromise our values and the character of our team and our program because of what they did. They didn't do anything major egregious, but it needed to be addressed. But I also knew what I'd been looking at in practice for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I knew the 3 that were going to replace them were good. And so we won 3 straight. Like I told you, Blair was one of the kids that replaced one of the starters. She ends up being MVP of the regional to start off the first 2 games. By the time we played in the Elite 8, those 3 were back in the starting lineup. And by the time they played Connecticut, they were chomping at the bit. But that's my promise to our parents. First of all, I wear all the hats. I'm a dad, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a coach. Your daughter and your son, VY, they're always going to be your baby. When they're 50, they're still going to be your baby. I know that. I respect that. Most I worked for Coach Blair 15 years. He did not want to talk to a parent during the season. So I talked to him. That was one of my jobs. And I took more than one butt whipping over how he was playing them, how he wasn't playing them, how they weren't starting, but that was okay. I did that as my job. And then when I became a head coach, I decided, you know what? That's their kid. I get it. They care about their kid. They're parents. And so I don't dodge them. I talk to them day or night, season and season out season. I understand that because I know at the end of the day, they've entrusted me with their daughter. And sometimes they don't know really what's going on. There's always 2 sides, right?
Yeah.
They're going to hear the kid's side. And then when they call me, they might get some of that side and then they might get another side. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, they've entrusted me with their daughter and I understand. And my promise to them, first of all, I'm not going to put your daughter around a bunch of idiots. She's going to be in a good program with a wholesome atmosphere. And the other thing I tell them is, hey, I'm getting down the road. I'm not coaching a bunch of idiots either. I don't want to do that. And so, for them, that C word, the culture word is important. Then they come on their visit and they see that with our kids and our team. Madison Booker did not miss one thing when we were recruiting these kids back in the fall. She was at every dinner, just about every meeting that we had that had to, outside of meeting with academics or somebody on campus, she was around. That made a tremendous impact on our parents. And she's only going to be here for 1 year with these freshmen that are going to be coming in. But again, they see our program for what it is. And I just think that's really important. And again, these kids, your daughter, your son, they're always going to be your baby. When they're 50, they're going to be your baby. I get that. I understand that.
That's
Coach,
cool.
I was at Madison's table at the fundraiser last spring. How impressive is she, man? I'm sitting there watching her work the table and talking to the folks and what's your name? What do you do? What do you do? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'd hire her today, man,
Right.
without question.
100%.
And I should have talked to Coach Blair. I didn't know that head coaches didn't have to talk to parents. I would still be coaching. I wouldn't look near as old if I hadn't talked to him. But
Yeah.
Coach, I went to North Carolina and a mother. I just got there and young player decided to quit coaching, and the mother wrote me a long email about how bad I was, and I can't believe you're not taking care of my son. I can't believe you're not letting him play. I didn't even know who he was. Didn't know his name. So I take the email home, I show it to Sally, and I say, "How about this? Can you believe that mother?" And she said, "Yeah, that's a mother. That's her son. You need to go find the kid. You need to bring him in. You need to talk to him, understand the situation, and explain to the mother why her son's feelings are hurt and what you can do to fix it." We did, and it's just the approach that you've got is unbelievable, and it's obvious for everybody to see why you're so successful.
Well, I just
You
think
you
they
you
got to
can
know
you
you
can
care
be you
about
can
them,
you can
and
be hard on them if you care about them, and
that's right.
that's and you do, and those parents know that too. And now some parents need you to be hard because some of them aren't as hard.
And that makes it hard,
and-
Coach.
Yeah, no, my dad would have been he would have been arrested for abuse in modern day, and it worked out okay. I'm glad he was tough on me.
No question.
Coach, you're 21-2. Obviously number 4 in the country. You got a huge one coming up Thursday. They're all huge. 10 teams in the AP top 25 last week, 9 this week. They're all huge as you get another shot at LSU this week. What's the step for your team between now and the NCAA tournament to get where you want to go?
And there's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, but I always am coaching against the ghost. I'm always worried about what if. It's a fault of mine. We're 21-2, and I'm sitting here agonizing over the things we don't do well. Because
you're
I
good.
know in the end that's what'll get me.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty good. I mean, there's no question. We're pretty good. I got a really good offensive team if we do things correctly. And then defensively, we got work to do. It's not my best defensive team. Well, okay. So again, it's how I was raised, the accountability from the colonel. If you're going to sit there and say, okay, this isn't one of your better defensive teams, what are you going to do about it? You're either coaching it or allowing it. So what am I doing? What am I allowing? How do I fix it? I'm not just going to say, well, they're not going to guard and they don't do it my way. And so the hell with it. That just ain't me. And so that's the thing I think about my teams. You see this, my teams get better all throughout the year. They're better in February than January. They're better in March than February. And so a lot of coaches, they'll taper off, they'll back off. They don't go, they might go an hour and 10 this time of year. That's never been me. That's never been me. When I got this job, that first team I inherited, they were all bent out of shape one day because we were practicing after a game the night before and we were going hard and all that. And I'm like, and I found out later, because I said, what the hell was going on in practice yesterday? They're all moody and out of shape and all that, been out of shape. And they go, Coach, they're all pissed because we're practicing, we're working out. I'm like, well, what they used to do? Well, they used to come in and lift after games, and then they'd go shoot for 30 minutes, and then they'd walk through defense of the next opponent for 15 minutes and go home. And I'm like, well, first of all, that'll never happen. As long as I'm at Texas, that will never, ever be our day after a game. So I went and talked to them. The next day, I said, guys, here's the deal. Whatever y'all did before, that is never going to happen again in Texas. As long as I'm the coach, you can get ready because we're going to go 2 hours, 2:15 the next day after a practice. And the next day, we're going to go 2 again. So whatever you have been doing, thought was going to happen, this is what we're doing now. And this is what wins. And so I think that's the hard thing. And, Coach, the proof's in the pudding. Whatever you do, you got to be convicted and know that that's the right thing to do. And you can't worry about what everybody else is doing. Because to me, it's not what you do, but how you do it that separates you from the rest of the country. And so we try to live by that. And again, the things that I see, we got beat 46-38 the second half with Oklahoma. Okay, we played dang good the first half. Dang good. Up 16, should have been up 19 if we don't let her throw it in from half court at the buzzer. But then we get outscored 8 in the second half. So staff meeting this morning, I'm like, okay, I go around the room. What's our problem in the second half? Because we've had it, it's been an issue all year long. We've given up a bunch of points in the second half. And so my curiosity is, me being, I don't want to say the old coach, but I'm just going to say me being who I am and the experience I have, two things are happening. One, we're losing focus and we're comfortable, or two, we're out of shape. Now, I'd hate to think we're not in shape, and my players really don't want me to think that. But at the end
Coach,
of the day, we've got an issue. And so
Coach,
it's
I'm
got to
sitting
be
there.
addressed.
I'm watching your game with Oklahoma, and Sally's sitting there. And at the end, I said, "He's pissed." I said, "He's leaving mad." She said, "He just beat Oklahoma," and I said, "Yeah, but it's not the way you finish.
No.
That's not coach."
And
Yeah,
Coach, that's one of the things we have on the board today when we go down there and watch film. It's our first day back. We had yesterday off. We have about 25 things up there. Did we follow the scout? Did we execute the scout? Did we finish the game right? Is the last thing on there, and it will be my kids will know. No, we did not. It'll get a minus.
They know.
On all those things, it's either a plus or a minus. There ain't no in between. It's a 1 or a 0. That's it. We didn't halfway do it. We almost did it. Did we block out every free throw? It's either a 1 or a 0. And so that's the things I worry about with my team, Ballou, is that I feel like I know what it takes, especially as you get into March and April, and the things that we are not executing and doing right now that we might get away with some nights, we ain't going to get away with when it counts.
Well, Coach, I love watching you coach, and I love who you are and what you do, and you're so important to the game. And I do know that there's 3 starters on your team right now that know that story from Mississippi State to Connecticut, and they're all wondering if you're going to walk into them and say, come in, young lady, you're benched. No. I told you before to block out. I told you before to play defense. I'm not negotiating. You're out. Go sit down. Next. So I think they understand that. And when you're 21-2 and pissed at the 2, that's why you're a great coach. That's what keeps you stirred up and keeps you going.
Yeah.
Great job, Coach.
Again, my kids will tell you I don't like being out tough. And I feel like in the 2 losses that we had, 2 things. We turned the ball over too much and we got out toughed. And they know I can't stand that. And before we ever start today, I'm going to bet one of them might be Booker goes, "Hey, we got out tough. We got punked last time we played LSU.
You're right.
We ain't getting that. We ain't getting punked again." And that's what you want. You want your kids to be accountable and understand those things.
Well, we appreciate you, who you are, what you do, and how much fun that you and your ladies are to watch.
I appreciate it.
I knew this would be good. You getting to talk with Mack and Vince. I had a feeling it would be good, but like you always do, you always exceed expectations. So we appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to seeing what you guys do over the next month and a half. Best of luck, and thanks for coming on the Stampede.
And thanks for
with
the
us.
cactus back there behind you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all you do for our great university, and stay tuned. I believe the best is yet to come. Praise the Lord.
Thanks,
Hook 'em
Coach.
horns, guys. I got to go
Hook 'em
to a
horns.
staff meeting.
And some lasers in the background to finish. Hey, Vic, thank you. We appreciate you, and best of luck the rest of the way. Stay with us. We got more to come. This is the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We're back after this. Final segment of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Holy moly, was Vic Schaefer good. Man, he's the best. He's got
Take
so
the
many
jacket off, Coach.
guys. Yeah, get it off. Get it off immediately. I mean, he loves throwing that coat, and he was peeved in the Oklahoma game, and he got a good coat throw in. But no, that's good.
He's a winner, man. You can feel it. You can feel the energy because he's a winner.
Yeah,
I love it.
He really is. It's just VY and I right now because it's time for our newest segment, Texas Pro Tax Pros. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Pro Tax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. As a Stampede listener, when you sign up at Texas Pro Tax, your minimum fee will be waived. Just visit TexasProTax.com, sign up and enter code Stampede to join the winning team and put your property taxes on the bench. All right, Vince. It is obviously we're getting ready for Super Bowl week, and we'll get into that for Longhorns on the rosters. But before we do that, I want to talk about the guys at Texas that are preparing for the NFL draft. You know, 4 of those guys in the East-West Shrine Bowl game, Ethan Burke, DJ Campbell, Jack Andrews, Jalen Gilbo, and then the 2 that went to the Senior Bowl, and Michael Taft and Malik Muhammad. What kind of I know you left as a junior, you didn't get to do the Senior Bowl stuff, but what do the opportunities like this provide for guys as they're trying to make a big impression on the NFL guys?
Well, it provides a lot because you get the chance to be in front of, NFL coaches. You get to, be around recruits. You get to ask questions about things that you have a question mark about. Because a lot of times you can't ask your agent about football stuff. The main thing is get in front of these guys. If even if you see some of the guys as player coaches that play the NFL, that play this position, that position, like start being around them and asking them questions like, what does this role takes for me to make it and at least be thought about in this draft? Okay, once you get that answer, now you got to go do it, apply it, because it's a long road to the draft. I remember it like it was yesterday when I was flying and going to so many places just to interview or work out. It's a lot, and it's a lot on your body. It's a lot on your mental as well. So if I was to tell the guys like try your best to be around those players that been there and done that to feed you information to help you get through the process because it is a long process. But this is the time that you can get your stocks up by working hard and staying visible in front of those coaches, recruits, all of the above.
It's so interesting you say that. You say it was like yesterday and it's a long road. I'm sure that 3 to 4 month period before the NFL draft, it feels like it's never going to come, but you're doing so many things to get, whether it's talking to teams or flying here or working out here or whatever, it's got to
Yes.
go by pretty fast too because you're so into it and trying to get yourself better and in that position. What
Yeah.
was that 3 to 4 month period like for you? Because you knew you were going to be a top 3, 4, 5 pick, whatever it was going to end up being. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things I forgot to say is that, make sure you got the right guys around you too for your
Yeah.
foundation. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to have a guy like a Shauna Boot in your corner. You got to have a good agent in your corner. That's a major deal because you want to be able to just focus on football and not focus on that. After you make that system, get that system down, what we're doing with my finances and things like that. Once you get that system down, then you stick to that. But after that, once you found your foundation, making sure everything, your corporation and all these type of things is right, then you go focus on football. And you gotta go get around those scouts, those guys that train guys throughout the season. You gotta be around those guys. And then you gotta sell your brand, who you are. Now, and I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking about you got to make sure you taking a speech class, making you sure you're speaking right. You got to make sure that you are taking care of your mental health. You got to make sure that if you have a girlfriend, you got to tell baby, hey, I'm working, baby. Can you give me a little 3 months? To finish this strong. So you got to do some things that it's gonna be a sacrifice, but in the same time, it's gonna be good for you. So my main thing, sell your brand. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. On time, not being late. Um, do the things that you probably already be doing. You know how you in football, I know I gotta throw a little bit more. And selling your brand, you're gonna have to do the same thing. Selling your brand, doing a little bit more extra to sell your brand because sometimes these guys are looking at these top players so much but you hear these stories, well, I saw down in Tennessee doing so good right now because not because he's doing good on the field, but how he is off the field, the type of character he is. So you wanna sell that in a major way.
Any of those guys of those 6 that I mentioned, or any other Longhorn prospects that are going into the draft, anybody that's really intriguing to you, like you really want to see if they can make the next leap? Like for me, it would probably be a guy like Ethan Burke because he has so much raw strength and raw, solid athleticism.
Yes.
But there are so many guys on this list that it's like, man, I can't wait to see what that guy does.
Yeah, Ethan Burks is one of my favorites because I always mess with him on the sideline. And he's just a tremendous big kid that I'm just like, wow, he reminds me of Van der Bosch when I played in Tennessee. They
Yeah.
remind me of the same. They higher energy. They want to be on the field. And then they like the nicest guy. Like, didn't you just slam the quarterback to the ground? But they the nicest guy on the sideline. So I like Ethan Burks, but I really want to see Jack I'm saying
Yeah,
his last
Jack Endries, yeah.
Andrew, I really want him to go get around Hims in Tennessee and ask him what he went through that process because the way Hims did it, I really feel like that's a system that can work for Jack that can help him get his stocks and get him higher because he got injured at practice at the Shrine game, so that can kind of hurt you. But in the same time, now you go get around people that you know or that you have in your back corner that you can ask questions to help you get to that process. But I feel like I think Burks and then those two guys is definitely on my list. And then I like Muhammad. I love Muhammad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know he's representing the DBs. So I would love to see what he's going to be doing and keep the team to make his stocks go up as well. I'll
And
be watching him.
we're all interested in seeing Michael Taft too. I mean,
Oh
he's
yeah,
just he's
well,
the
Taft gonna
ultimate
do good anyway because
the
his
ultimate
character is
Longhorn, right?
unbelievable. His
The
character is unbelievable. So
yeah, the
I
ultimate
love
Longhorn.
that kid. So
That kid's the ultimate Longhorn.
exactly.
All right, it is Super Bowl week, Vince. So before we end this, Brendan Schooler, special teams wizard for the Patriots, Michael Dixon, special teams wizard as a punter for the Seahawks, and then Byron Murphy and then the year he's had, and
Yeah.
Quandre Diggs on the practice squad, but obviously still helping those defensive backs, and he's been a part of that organization for a long time, so I know it means a lot to him
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh yeah.
How excited are you for the Super Bowl? I mean, it's always a fun Sunday, but to have four Longhorns and everything else that's going on with it, how excited are you for
Well,
the
I'm
Super
definitely
Bowl?
having for the Longhorns and Big Murph, man, those
Yeah.
guys, and just been working their butt off to get to that position. And then not only they represent their organization, their team, but they also represent the University of Texas, and we're all proud of them. I just continue to see UT posting things about these guys to give their recognition that we are proud of them, and I'm happy to see that. So it's going to be a good game. I'm going with Seattle. That defense is scrappy,
Yeah.
and New England defense is pretty good too, but those Seahawks play a little bit different, and then they running game. That Walker kid, you got to stop that kid. And then Sam, is doing a really good job with his decision making. So, and not taking anything from Mays. I like that kid because he loses legs. He does a good job of maintaining the game. But I feel like the Seahawks has a little bit more, and they still rub it in that loss to New England back in the day when they should have handed the ball off to the Beast.
Give it to Marshawn.
And
Give
they
the
threw
ball
an
to
interception.
Marshawn.
So I know that's still burning them inside and out. So I know they can use that for a little bit of extra motivation.
Hey, I won't tell Mac that you're going against Drake Maye, okay?
Yeah. Let's
We'll
keep
make
that
sure we won't say
between us.
anything. All right. Hey, as always, win big savings on your property taxes with Texas Pro Tax. Sign up and use code STAMPEDE at TexasProTax.com. All right. Vince is gone. We welcome Mac back in. Vince says he's going with Sam Darnold and Seattle to win the Super Bowl, and he's picking against Drake Maye. Not against him, but he's picking
No,
Seattle.
it's against.
So it's
When you pick the other team, you're picking against without question. And what really worries me is he's picked a lot better than I've picked this year. So I'm picking Drake Maye and the Patriots.
I like
But
understandable why.
I let Vince. I really like what Mike Vrabel's done with his team.
So good.
They've won all the road games. That's hard to do. He's taken over a culture and just fixed it. And they like each other. You can tell they're fighting for each other. He's been there before as a player and as a coach. He's done this. He's been in the playoffs as a coach. He gets it. And Drake's just making the plays to win the game. You go back to 3 plays last Sunday. The flea flicker in a snowstorm. Number one, Josh McDaniels has done a great job of coaching Drake, and they're on the same page. You can't call a flea flicker in a snowstorm without confidence,
Right.
and big hands. So they hand the ball off, they pitch it back. He throws a strike in a snowstorm. A quarterback draw for a touchdown. Instincts, waited, patience, goes, scores, gets in, holds the ball on a slick field. Hard to stand up. And then the last play, I've seen him do that so many times. He did it for us in overtime against Appalachian State. The fake and outrunning the edge and stepping out of bounds 1 yard past the marker.
That was an unbelievable play to end the game.
Yeah, for a 23-year-old that's in his second year. Seattle's great on defense. So to me, the Patriots can't get behind the chains. They're going to have to make yards on early downs. They've got to be 3rd and 4 instead of 3rd and 8. They can't protect if they're 3rd and 8. And that'll be the difference in the ball game in my estimation.
I'll be interested to see if they can get Travion Henderson back. He's kind of disappeared in the playoffs, and
he's another one we recruited and didn't get. And he was a 4-point student out of Virginia. He was a great person and great player. Another reason I'm sitting here. He went to Ohio State. So
good stuff. Well, we'll see. It's Super Bowl Sunday, as we mentioned earlier. There are 4 Texas X's in the game. Quandre Diggs, Michael Dixon, Byron Murphy, and Brendan Schooler. I love the special teams influence of this, because Brendan Schooler's been unbelievable for the Patriots for years now as a special teams player. Michael Dixon flipped the game against the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and there was a great article that came out where he said he noticed the punt returner, who's a really good punt returner for the Rams, was having trouble fielding the ball in like one of the first plays. He said, so I just started kicking it higher and higher and higher every punt I could. And eventually he dropped the one, they recovered, and that put him up 24-13. So,
and Baba got 3 Tar Heels in the game.
Oh, great.
Gainer he's on the practice squad for them, and Chaz Surratt, Amari Gainer. Chaz Surratt's a linebacker for Seattle, who was a quarterback when I got to Chapel Hill. We moved him to linebacker, and he's on special teams and linebacker. So it's fun to see all these guys still having a chance to play.
Yeah, it's really cool for you, I'm sure, to have those guys in your back. All right, so Super Bowl predictions in. You're taking New England. Vince is taking Seattle. Love to see that, because somebody's going to be right, which is always fun. And we're going to finish the show with something real quick that we saw this week that was really interesting. Nobody even knew. I don't know how this stuff keeps getting by people. It was the same thing as what happened with what happened with Notre Dame when Notre Dame just came out of the blue. Oh, if we're top 12, we get in. And everybody's like, where the hell did that come from?
Like, we don't want opinions because they may be the opposite of ours.
Right. So next season, the highest ranked G6 team gets the bid, but they don't have to be a conference champion. So, which, as you and I were talking about, if it's James Madison last year, they go 11-1, but they don't reach their conference title game. But we all know they're still the best team. If you're going to let a G6 team get in, it should be the best team. So I think I understand it. I don't understand how the Athletic this week said the memo, they didn't realize the memo had no conference champion stipulation until recently. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how, but it's happened. I mean, you even said with the Notre Dame stuff, you didn't know it at North Carolina. So that stuff, there's some bylaws and little things that maybe you don't get, everybody doesn't know. What do you think of the decision to have, I mean, I know you want the G6 out entirely and have their own championship, but what do you think about having the G6, the best team gets in?
Yeah, I think we should have the 12 best teams.
Yeah.
Period. I think we're headed to that. I used to think conference championships, but after what happened with the ACC last year, and Miami wasn't a conference champion, and Miami got in, and then they put a group of 6 in instead of, I still call them group of 5, a group of 6 in instead of a conference champ. I just don't like it. Fans deserve to see the 12 best teams. And I was a conference champion guy. You got to put them in and all that. If one league's not going to be near as good as another, you've got to earn the right. So if you're going to be a conference champ, in my estimation, you should have to be ranked in that top 12 before you get your bid. So let's go back to the 12 best teams. People are spending a lot of money and a lot of time, and TV's spending a lot of money. Let's get the 12 best teams. We said instead of James Madison, Oregon, should have been Texas and Oregon. And instead of Tulane and Ole Miss, should have been Notre Dame and Ole Miss. God, would those be great, 2 great games that we would all be watching.
Yeah.
And safer for the kids on the other teams because they don't have as much money to recruit. And the James Madison kids all went to UCLA. The Tulane kids are going to Florida. So they're not able to stay at that level because of NIL money anymore. So it's different. So let's be current. Let's change with the times. Let them play their national championship. Let the Power 4 play their national championship and have the 12 best teams.
I mean, Ole Miss had already beaten Tulane, then they got to play them again, and you kind of knew where that was going. So Yeah,
and the best coaches in Group of 6 are gone anyway.
right, because
They're all leaving.
They're all leaving anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting topic, and as always on our show, we love to dive into this stuff. You guys have great opinions, you and Vince, and always appreciate you being a part of it. It was fun to have Vic on. He's great, isn't he?
He was great, and you can see why he's successful. He's direct, he's tough, but he cares about the parents and he cares about the kids, and that's why his style works.
Texas 21-2. They got LSU Thursday night. Should be a fun one at Moody Center. All right, for Mack Brown and Vince Young, I'm Bob Ballou. This is another edition of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We always ask you rate and review us anywhere you see us on social media at the Stampede UT, and you can get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We'll see you next week. For Mack and Vince, I'm Bob. Go out and make it a great week, everyone.